The Nerf Rival series finally has a pistol. This is the Kronos. This is the Deadpool version, obviously, but there are just a regular white version for the Phantom Core that would be coming out later. And probably I'd be surprised if there aren't other just standard red and blue versions of this coming out. But one of the things that I've heard is just kind of concerns that as a pistol, it should act as a sidearm. But is this blaster small enough to actually function as a sidearm? So I figured I'd give you guys a visual representation so that way if you don't have a Kronos yet, you can kind of know what to expect size-wise to see if this is something that can actually work for you in games. Let's start checking out some blasters. First up is this little guy. This is a Fire Strike. These are pretty common to see for a sidearm type blaster because they're very small and compact, but they still pack quite a punch. These can easily fit into a pocket, and even though they're not that large, this extra little bit down here still makes it comfortable for larger guys like myself to be able to use this without feeling too cramped up. So they're nice and easy to use. I've used them on several occasions just as a quick throw in the pocket sidearm in case my blaster breaks down mid-game. But you'll notice you're not going to be able to do that with the Kronos. Yes, it is a pistol, but this is a much larger blaster. Your pistol grip, everything, pretty much all the dimensions are blown up on the Kronos versus a Fire Strike. So if you're planning on throwing this in a pocket, probably not going to work out. If there's one blaster that's really been embraced as a sidearm over the years, it's got to be the Hammershot. And I've even seen these used as primaries because they're so easy to dual wield because you can one-hand action these really easily. So still have your hand on your other main blaster, pull this guy out and be able to fire off an extra 5 shots in there with this rotating barrel assembly up front. They're very comfortable, very easy to use. They work well with simple modifications. And they are, while not really pocketable, they are quite holsterable. Speaking of that, though, the Kronos is still quite a bit larger than the Hammershot. It's not too much longer, and the width is very similar between these blasters, but you'll notice that more of the Rival bit sticks out over the back of your hand on top, whereas the Hammershot pretty much stays in arc with the rest of that pistol grip there. So this is a more compact design, obviously, but width-wise, and I would almost argue holster-wise, if you have a holster that works for your Hammershot, there's a good chance it'll also work, although a bit more of a snug fit, it'll also probably still work with the Kronos. Moving up in size again, this is the Strongarm. Now this has been a staple for sidearms for a long time because of how versatile these are. 6 rounds up front in a rotating barrel. You've got pullback here just like the Kronos. Unlike the Kronos, you can press and hold that trigger and do slam fire, where the Kronos is just prime and single fire. But size-wise, these are pretty close. You do have a section over here that comes over the back, obviously. They are pretty similar in width, although this is a little bit wider more throughout. It's more boxy, but the barrel assembly on here does stick out a little bit more on the Strongarm. So 6 darts versus 5 Rival rounds, or those yellow balls. Yeah, so it's still pretty easy to load in here, but it's not too terribly bad to do in general. The Strongarm can get a little bit clumsy because you do have to pop that guy out and load them from the side there, or you can kind of sneak rounds in the side that way. So from an ease of reloading sequence between these blasters is actually not too bad to load 5 rounds into a Chaos pistol. It doesn't take that long. It's pretty easy to do. We've got one more to check out, though, size-wise. For those of you who are fans of inbuilt magazines, the Magnus is probably on your list then. Now, this blaster has been released in various iterations. This is the Zombie Strike version, but they all work the same. You pull back here, much like you do on the Rival Kronos, and you load 3 darts in this inbuilt section here that house those darts so you can fire off from there. So similar to having an inbuilt storage as you have on the Kronos here, and actually very similar in width and size. So if you have a magazine that holds, not a magazine, a holster that holds a Mega Magnus, pretty much spot on for holding the Rival Chaos. So holsterable with these larger blasters, yes. And then still, actually that much more comfortable grip on here as well. The rest of the dimensions on these blasters are nigh identical, but the grip on the Magnus is noticeably smaller than the kind of more oversized, adult-themed rival Chaos. So I would say, while the blasters are similar in heft and size, this smaller grip isn't bad, but it is a little bit nicer for guys with hands my size to be able to have something bigger like that. So hopefully that gives you guys a good idea of really the size of this blaster, especially since, at least as of this video, they aren't quite out yet. They are out, obviously, in this Deadpool version, but the regular white version for the masses, if you're trying to plan ahead or see if the rival Chaos is something worth looking into, especially since a lot of times, I'm not sure on the boxing for these, but none of your rival blasters really are packaged outside. They're always stored inside, so it's hard to get an idea for how big they actually are. So hopefully this size comparison with these guys has helped you out and let you know whether the Kronos is going to be a good sidearm for you. Thanks for watching.